Good morning, ladies and gents. Look at you, bright faces up early. Mendez, you get laid last night?
Yeah.
No, you didn't, you fucking liar. What? Fuck you getting laid by out here, Jones? No. It's fucking Hawthorne, isn't it? She's the only one dirty enough to hop on your disgusting fucking dick. Alright, settle down. Y'all got a field op later. I know you're dying for it, but lucky you, I get you this morning. Y'all can go play in the mud and fucking pop blanks at each other after you get some knowledge. We're gonna learn a little more about some of the individual battles of the Great War. Not all of them, but a few. The important ones. I know a lot of you were too young to remember the fighting, but some of you remember the evacuations. And it's important to keep these things in mind, to remember why we fought. They help us realize what we are fighting for now. It keeps us sharp, and it brings honor to those that made the ultimate sacrifice. You can learn from them, from the struggles they endured. Learn and hopefully do better, so that their deaths will not be in vain. It's a long, sad story, gents. The story of the Great War. We're gonna start at the beginning, and fucking get through it. The Battle of Harvest. Pay attention. This shit is gonna be on the quiz as always. But listen, shit like that ain't important. I mean, it is important. The CO will fucking ream your ass if you fail the goddamn quiz. But your real test is going to be on the battlefield. The Banished are out there right now hunting us down. Learn the lessons that these battles have to teach you, and maybe you disgusting motherfuckers can help turn the tide of this fucking war. Alright? Alright. Fucking Battle of Harvest. Technically, the second Battle of Harvest. Like I said last time we had class, Oni met with the Covenant on the planet prior to hostilities breaking out. The details of what happened are still classified, but we know it went poorly. Hence, the battle we all know and love is the second Battle of Harvest. Fucking Black Ops, guys. Leave it to them to start a fucking interstellar war. Anyway, fucking February 25. Contact with the colony of Harvest is lost. Shortly after that, Battle Group 4 was dispatched to investigate. A destroyer, the CMA Heracles, and 2 light frigates, the CMA Arabia and the CMA Vostok. What they found was a Covenant super destroyer. The Covenant broadcast a single, short message, declassified and now infamous. Your destruction is the will of the gods, and we are their instrument. After that, the super destroyer opened fire. It destroyed the Arabia and the Vostok almost immediately, lost to plasma fire with all hands. When I say almost immediately, it took 14 seconds. 14 seconds for 2 frigates to go bye-bye. The Heracles also took fire and sustained heavy damage, but quick thinking on the part of Captain Marabou Veretti, commander of the battle group, led the Heracles to withdraw back into slipspace. They would manage to limp their way into shipyard at Reach after several weeks. Fucking right, gents? 14 seconds. We lost thousands while they didn't even suffer a scratch. Talk about ill portents for the war ahead. Anyway, the Heracles finally made it back to port, and the UNSC was ordered to full alert on November 1st, 2525. A battle group of over 40 warships was created, Battle Group X-Ray. It was the largest fleet of space vessels ever put together by humanity at the time, and command was given to Vice Admiral Preston Cole. Now, we talked about him last class, and we'll talk about him more in detail later on. But for now, you just know, that man was a fucking goddamn hero. Make no mistake. Without him, the war would have gone much differently. He was given the Valiant class super heavy cruiser, the UNSC Everest, as his flagship. And from the bridge of that fucking legend of a vessel, he led Battlegroup X-Ray back to the Epsilon Indi system in the planet of Harvest. They arrived in the system on March 1st, 2526, at 0120 hours, and they saw just how fucking bad shit was going to get. Half of the planet's surface had been turned to glass, and there was a single Covenant vessel in orbit. The same super destroyer that had torn through Battlegroup 4 as if it was fucking nothing. Admiral Cole was well aware of that engagement and the Covenant vessel's rough capabilities, such as their energy shields and plasma weapons. He took the only course he truly could. He fucking ordered Battlegroup X-Ray into a slingshot trajectory, wrapping around the planet and using its gravity to build the fleet's momentum into a charge. And this is where we fucking learn something, gents. If you are faced by a superior enemy, but you have numbers on your side, what do? Anyone. Come on, motherfuckers, you call yourselves warriors? You fucking hit them, gents. You fucking hit them as hard and as fast as you fucking can. You come in hotter than the surface of the sun and overwhelm them before their superiority can be brought to bear. And that is exactly what Admiral Cole was doing. He knew that they were outclassed, but they had overwhelming numbers, and he was confident that he could win regardless. The first salvo came from the Mac guns. 40 of the most powerful weapons developed in human history opened fire all at once, and it fucking bounced off their shields. Cole followed it up with a nuclear strike, dozens of missiles streaking across the black, and again, they fucking bounced off. Those goddamn shields on their ships, gents, let me tell you, they would rapidly become the most frustrating thing of the war. Battlegroup X-Ray, meanwhile, was taking casualties the whole time. The Covenant did not sit idle, and while they held their position, they opened fire on the charging wave of ships. Their plasma tore through them like a soldering iron through tissue paper. 13 vessels were knocked out of the fight, many of them lost with all hands, and the officers on board the Everest began to waver. One of them ordered a retreat, but Admiral Cole belayed that order and again told his fleet to hold the line. Listen, gents, this shit is really important, alright? The tactics that Admiral Cole used worked, but they are desperate tactics. They are the type of thing that you employ when you have no other option. The advantage in such a maneuver comes from the speed and the ferocity of the attack, and letting your overwhelming numbers do their thing. If Admiral Cole had allowed that retreat to go through, even more vessels would have been destroyed. They would have had to turn, taking their main weapons off of the enemy, and all the while the Covenant would have been shooting at them. God knows how many ships would have been lost if Admiral Cole had not been there and known that you need steel to overcome such a situation. But thank God he was. Instead of giving in to retreat, the Admiral focused the battle group's fire again. He realized that they would only survive if they could manage to mass their resources and use them as one. The charge held, and Admiral Cole ordered all of his vessels to fire everything they had at the same time. There was another salvo from the Mac guns, followed up with thousands of Archer and Shiva missiles. Still, the shields held, and UNSC ships burned, but Admiral Cole timed things in such a way that the Mac guns were recharged just after the missile salvo found its mark. A second volley was fired, and this one finally took down the vessel's shields. Now, I don't know how much you fucking boots know about a Mac cannon, but it fires a slug projectile at a fraction of the speed of light, and these salvos managed to hit before the wave of missiles struck the Covenant vessel. Their shields came down just as the Archers and Shiva found their mark, and it finally managed to rupture the hull of the enemy super destroyer, bringing an end to the battle. was hailed as a victory for the USNC. But listen to me, gents. A lot of that shit was only propaganda, and any true warrior would have known that. Admiral Cole knew that. That battle was a Pyrrhic victory, and it meant dark times ahead. He only won because of his superior numbers and the steel discipline in his soul. It takes great bravery to charge headlong into the guns of a superior foe. But Cole knew what was up, and he got the job fucking done. This battle would set the tone for the rest of the war. Victory was possible, but the cost. Casualties at a rate of 13-1. Half of an entire fleet to bring down one Covenant vessel. I can't stress this enough, gents. It's important that you guys realize that the entire Great War was us with our backs against the wall. It was David fighting Goliath. Make no fucking mistake about that. What's important to focus on here is the fact that Admiral Cole knew strategy and tactics well enough that he understood what approach would work for what situation. He took what very little he knew about the enemy, analyzed it, and realized that their threat was extremely grave. And then he developed a response that was most likely to succeed. And succeed he did. The problems with those kinds of charges, though, the issue with fixing bayonets, you're bound to lose people. This is something that all of you need to think about, and I want you to think about that while you're in the field for the next week. Think about that while you're popping your fucking blanks and the instructors are calling out casualties. Ordering men forward into the jaws of death is something that every commander has to deal with at some point. Not everyone can do it, but you need to try to prepare yourself. The way small unit tactics function, it is inevitable that eventually you will come to a point where you need to make a decision regarding the lives of the warriors to your right and left. You must be ready, and the way that you can be ready is by studying battles like this. Examine the thinking that goes on in the heads of those in command. Use it to hone your own understanding of the principles of war. You guys get me? Alright, devils. That's enough for today. I can't stand any more of your fucking motivation. God damn, to be a boot and to be excited to go to the field. Good luck, gents. Pay attention. Do your best. See if you can use some of what you learned here in practice. And when you get back, we'll talk about a different battle. Y'all heard of Captain Keyes? Yeah. Another fucking legend. Well, do well out there. And when you come back, we'll take a look at a fight where the situation is flipped. Where it's us that are outgunned and outnumbered by a superior enemy. And we'll examine ways to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Alright? Alright. Now get the fuck out of my face. Make sure you shower when you get back, you stinky, dirty motherfuckers. Dismissed.